You mentioned it there, Carve, when you were touching on Liverpool, the links with Jude Bellingham, which are set to continue, you'd think, until a decision is made. But Sky Germany reporting that they are currently in the box seat.
Yes, Sky Germany this afternoon say that Liverpool are feeling optimistic about signing Jude Bellingham in the summer. They say that talks have been held, but they stress no talks between the player and Jurgen Klopp. That has not happened yet. And also, no official offer has been made yet. According to Sky Germany, Liverpool are offering him the possibility of becoming the new Steven Gerrard. Of course, we know that he's a very hot property. A lot of clubs are going to be interested in signing him in the summer. If Dortmund, as expected, let him leave, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, Manchester United would all like to take him. But at the moment, Sky Germany are saying Liverpool optimistic.
The point would be, though, Andy, and for Dharmesh as well, that Liverpool can be optimistic. Carve mentioned the list of suitors there. If they're not in the Champions League, they can probably forget it, can't they?
Maybe. I think he would see it as a long-term project. But look, Real Madrid think they're still in it. They definitely think they're still in it. And they've been talking to his entourage as well. I think, really, Liverpool could do the rest of European football a favour almost by taking him away from Real Madrid, because to me it feels like he will end up at one of those two clubs. I think if you're looking at the balance of power in the Champions League over the next decade, really, because that's how long, injuries notwithstanding, that Bellingham's reign is going to be. He's already an incredible player. He's a leader already at 19 years old. If Real Madrid were to add him, and you think they're moving on from one of the greatest midfields we've seen in European football, and they would have Tchouaméni, they'd have Camavinga, they'd have Valverde, and they'd have Bellingham. I mean, who's beating that?
I'm still confident Luka Modric will be playing about 65, to be honest, the way he's going.
I'm not ruling him out of the next World Cup. I mean, come on.
Two things I would say about the Bellingham deal is Jurgen Klopp, when he's been asked a question generally about how maybe a lack of qualifications to the Champions League is going to affect their summer transfer window, he's actually said they can do one of two things, these players. They can actually come for the project, and if they want to come for the project, then it's Liverpool. If we're not in the Champions League and they decide on that basis they don't want to come to Liverpool, then he says, I don't actually want them at the club then, because he wants players who want to play for the club. And something I've been saying all week with regard to how much Bellingham is going to cost, if he has it in his mind that he wants to go to Liverpool, then with 2 years left on his contract, I don't think it necessarily means that whoever bids the most gets Jude Bellingham. Simply because he can put Borussia Dortmund in a position. If he says, I don't want to go to Real Madrid or Man City or PSG, even though they've bid more than Liverpool and I want to go to Liverpool, Dortmund will say, well, we've accepted these offers and not these, you'll have to stay. Bellingham will say, OK, I'll stay. I love it here at Borussia Dortmund, but I'm not going to sign a new contract. 1 year later, his price will have come down. So Dortmund then might have a decision to make. Do they take less money if less money is what Liverpool are going to offer, because Bellingham is saying Liverpool or nothing?
But if it becomes a bidding war, then Liverpool can't compete, because Jurgen Klopp has told everybody the money story, as he calls it. We've all heard it before. He says he's told the money story 4,999 times at news conferences. He said that they can't compete in the transfer market with the clubs who are owned by states and multi-billionaires. So surely if Real Madrid really want him, or Manchester City really want him, or Chelsea really want him, Borussia Dortmund are just going to sell him to whoever's offering the most.
Well, I guess
but he doesn't have to go there, does he?
But Borussia Dortmund are going to sit down with him and say, look,
I mean, I don't think he'll see moving to Real Madrid as any particular hardship.
No. But you see my point. You see my point. If he has chosen Liverpool in his mind and it's nothing else, because Sky Germany are saying, look, the talks have started to happen there in the box seat. If he really wants to go there, then chances are he will end up at Liverpool.
Yeah, and
only because of the 2 years left on his contract. If he had 3 or 4 years left on his contract, Borussia Dortmund can kind of just relax a little bit, but they can't with 2 years left.
But I think as well, you look at the way clubs of that level deal, and also the fact that he's just been exemplary since he's been there. He's been so good for them. So they're not going to try, even in their difficult financial position which they're in, and of course they're just about to sign Yusufa Moukoko, who's been linked to various Premier League clubs, to a new deal, which is going to cost them a lot of money for a player of that age. And, you know, they're carrying a lot of big contracts, Dortmund. I still think they won't want to dredge every single euro out of it. They'll probably want to respect his wishes.
Is there any chance that he stays at Dortmund? Because this week, I think the sporting director was saying that they'd love to sit down with him and offer him a new contract.
Said the same with Haaland at this point last season. I mean, they'd love to. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But it is really tough because, you know, they're not guaranteed to make the Champions League. You look at them, you look at Liverpool, you look at Tottenham, you look at Atletico. There are some huge teams that could miss the Champions League this season. That could have incredible ramifications, really, going not just through the remaining week and a half of this window, but going into the summer's window. That could really affect things. But what you were saying about Real Madrid and their financial might, now, of course, they're coming to the end of this stadium redevelopment. On the other hand, and they have saved up this money from not buying Kylian Mbappe. However, there is this feeling that is coming up more and more in Spain in the last week, that maybe, despite the big flounce from Florentino Perez when he was snubbed by Kylian Mbappe, I mean, he has really only got a year left on his contract at the end of this season, and the two sides have never completely stopped talking. So maybe at some point in the future, because PSG made him a load of promises that they couldn't keep, they're all predicated on selling Neymar. Where do you sell Neymar to? How do you sell Neymar? Now, he has got 4 years left on his contract, so that's
you
a
think
big
Real Madrid
problem.
might be focusing on Mbappe again in the summer?
I'm not convinced they can afford both. And I think they might have a decision to make, which could be a tough one. Because bear in mind, they're going to have to replace Benzema in the near future. I mean, Modric is going to keep going for a bit, but they've got to look at that succession plan as well. Real Madrid are consciously trying to get younger, and I think
because I think they've been down that route before, haven't they, where they've let a team sort of age together.
Yeah, and it is a valid question whether they could afford both Bellingham and Mbappe. I'm sure they'd find a way, but you know, PSG aren't going to make it easy for them if they're going to try and sign Mbappe this summer.